All right, we're live. Here we go.
Famously hot.
Yes,
Looking good, man.
yes.
I
You are.
have when I was at your house, I took a picture of right where you're sitting. And because you and I, every week we talk, we do Zooms, and for like the last couple of months, we've been hanging out online. And I was gonna put it as my backdrop, your office,
Yeah.
because I know it would like
Oh,
trip you
flip
out.
out.
You'd be like, "Wait a minute, like what's going on here?" Like I thought that'd be perfect. So I
I
spoiled
look
the
behind you.
surprise.
Yeah. No, all good. How you feeling on this 4th of July weekend?
I'm excited. We got the boat gassed up.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah, we're gonna go out tonight first with the kids. We got little kids. Our youngest is autistic, so we're gonna take him to the fireworks. So we'll see how that goes. Night boat ride, fireworks. Hopefully he'll love it. So,
Awesome.
what about you?
Awesome. I'm just loving on my house. Gonna enjoy the weather. It might like rain a little bit here this weekend, but
Yeah,
just enjoying the freedom that I have, right? To be able to kick it and do exactly what I want to do.
right
Um,
on.
so yeah, and probably enjoy the fireworks from my neighbors. They usually have all the fireworks going on. The whole block gets gets taken over. So I'll see some like right outside.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah, yeah. So let's get into it. One of the reasons we actually jumped on here is because you did come to our last meetup here in Savannah. You drove all the way down from Columbia
Yeah,
or up, down to Savannah from Columbia, South Carolina, and you were like we were talking, and a lot of the conversations that you were having with some of the people at the event was about private money. And I know I've learned a ton from you as far as raising money, not only on social media, but how to raise money in different areas from private people, not from institutions or through brokers and things like that. So it's a whole nother world. And I know it's opened up, the floodgates to your business. Tell me like a little bit about those conversations that you were having down here where you were like, man,
sure.
maybe I should do
Yeah,
something.
real. For us, like when we discovered private money and we started using more private money and the concept of it, real estate became fun again for us. You know what I mean, Corey? It was like a lot less
Yeah.
stressful trying to figure out where the money's going to come from. And I think lots of times with like newer investors, new and experienced, who haven't dabbled with private money yet, it's easy to go to a hard money lender because they have websites and there's advertising, right? It's easy to go to a bank because there's a store, right? There's a storefront. You can walk in and talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Whereas with private money lending, there is no private money lending like store per se, right? A lot of this is going to be relationship driven. So it's a new concept for a lot of people. A lot of people have heard about it. Maybe they don't really understand it or what it is, but a lot of folks that were at your meetup in Savannah, a lot of them were like, "Hey, I've done one deal. I'm trying to figure out how to get my second." And lots of times those first deals were like house hacks or
Yeah.
whatever, where they use FHA financing or conventional financing and they're renting it out and they're cash flowing. And now they're stuck in this conundrum where they're like, how do I go out and repeat that and get the funding to do another deal? And a lot of like misinformation too. I was talking to a young guy who's like, "Hey, I've got a deal. I need $7,000," and he was like putting together PowerPoints about syndication, which is really something that you would do like with an apartment building or a
Right.
hotel or something like that. Commercial didn't quite make sense about that approach, and it's experienced investors too. Like literally, Corey, 2 days after I was in Savannah with you guys, I got a call from a friend of mine who I had met in Defusky Island, who actually flips houses in Savannah. And we became good friends that weekend. We stayed in touch. He's in real estate. And he's like, "Hey, man, like, I need help with this private money thing because I'm about to fund this huge deal. He's subdividing 4 lots, doing new builds. And I think it's like the neighborhood's like the state neighborhood or something like that down there. Does that make
State
sense?
streets. Yeah, the
Like
state
the state
streets.
streets."
Yeah.
And he's like, I
Side.
need $1 million or whatever it was. And he goes, "I usually use hard money. And in this case, if I were to use hard money, I'd have to bring a couple $100,000 to the table. And I'm paying all these fees and points. I just, there's got to be a better way. I'm just kind of like uneasy about it. Right. And so we started talking about what that looks like and how we build relationships with private money. So there's you can never learn enough about funding,
Yeah.
you know? And I think lots of times, especially if you're new, like what's the number one thing you feel like is stopping people from uh, talking to someone about lending them money to fund a flip, right? Especially if you're new, what's usually holding them back? It's like their self-confidence or knowing what to say, or is this person going to take me seriously, right? And I think you and I have always been taught that it kind of comes down to one word, which is credibility. You know, especially when you're first starting out, like what does that look like? You feel me? Would you agree with that?
100%, man. And it is tough, like when you're getting started, especially if you've never done a deal before, and you know you're you're really worried about like what somebody's going to perceive you as, like can you even perform on getting this deal done, right? And so how do you establish yourself with that credibility? And from what some of the things that we know is it comes down to educating yourself so that you know how to communicate that and know that if you do get into a deal there is risk,
Yeah.
right? But how do you have those conversations? And excuse me, let me just grab my dog.
Yeah. And you make a good point, man. So like it's here's what's up. Like I have some stuff I can teach you guys. You got me to 11 o'clock, and any questions that you have, you can post them in the Facebook group. Corey, I don't know if you can see questions or not, but we can come back to them after the fact. But I know there's a lot of people out there who teach funding, and like like I can make a person really, really good at being able to raise capital. I can teach you what to say, the effective communication, how to say it, when to say it, the essence of what to say, what to put together. I can help you get credibility with borrowing money from lenders. But what you need, you could be really good at it. A person could be really good at it. But what they need to be really great at is all the other stuff. And I see a lot of people teaching private money, and it's always like, hey, this person raised tens of millions of dollars. It's like, cool. Like what I want to know is how much did you pay back? Like what's your batting average, being able to return that money with interest? How are your projects going? Were they successful? And sometimes we get so caught up on, I need to raise the capital, that we forget about building all this other stuff. So I have some things that we can put together, that I put together for the group. If you want me to go through them with you, I can. It's like 7 steps to establishing credibility with lenders. But as I go through this with you guys, I think what you'll find is it's not just about establishing credibility. Like some people that are watching this, they're going to be like, oh man, like I want to raise capital. I want to learn how to raise private money. And then as I go through this, you're going to be like, holy cow, like I think I want to lend. And 9 times out of 10, when I start teaching this stuff to people, that's usually what happens. They're like, hey, you know what? I was thinking about going out and buying a rental property because I have a chunk of cash and I want to make a great rate of return on my money. And, but at the end of the day, it's like, do you really want to be a landlord? Is that really what you want?
Yeah.
Or are you just trying to make great rates of return on your money? So there's a couple different sides to the coin here. So if anyone has questions about either side, as a lender or as a borrower, just type it in wherever you're watching this and we'll get them answered for you. So you want me to go through that, Corey?
I do. And before you go through that, I just got like 1 or 2 questions for you. Like
Cool.
Number 1 is, you said earlier, like you're going on the boat, you got your family, your sons, your wife. And obviously we know each other. So I know your life as far as like the way you operate is more of a lifestyle versus like, hey, I'm trying to scale this company to and all these different things. Like, how do you manage like raising capital, being a father, and being present in your home, like, and like getting all this money and helping people, like getting the contractors? And we're not going to get into the rehab stuff, but how do you even like get around all these people? Sounds like you're always like usually at home or working with the kids, or
who are these people? Where are these?
Where are they coming
lenders?
from? Like, you go to like this secret layer. I do want you to go through your stuff, but like,
so here's the deal. So here's the deal. Everybody pay attention. Take notes. Every 3rd full moon, all the private money lenders come out from behind this mystical waterfall, and I know the spot. I know the lagoon. We go there. We have our packets. No, this doesn't work like that. So the money is everywhere. And I think as I go through this with you, it's just a matter of having conversations. And I'll teach you during this session what those conversations look like, how they start, and how you build really, really good relationships with people. And yes, we are busy. We have boys that are crazy. Like, Christy and I, my wife, we worked really hard for a number of years in this business, flipping, wholesaling, doing all this stuff. Then we switched to start doing more cash flow type of stuff. And right now we'll just do maybe 5 or 6 really nice home run flips this year. And that's kind of been our sweet spot, because that's what we're comfortable with, the balance of family and real estate. And it's funny is I have to keep myself in check. I'm always like, hey, let's crank it up. Let's do this. And then my wife is always the good balance. And Christy's always like, why? Why do we need to do that? I did that for 5 years. I don't necessarily want to work that hard right now. We worked that hard early on so that we don't have to work hard now. And it's like, okay, but as far as like being busy, man, it's not that difficult. And I'll show you, like, when I go to a hockey game or a football game or soccer game with one of my kids, lots of times the conversations that we have are going to be around what we do for a living. And I'll give you a little bit more insight on that. If I'm going to go to the pool this afternoon in our community, and hey, how's everything going? How's work been treating you? How's the market? You know what's crazy? This morning I opened up my iPhone. The very first advertisement, it is advertisement, but it was like a news announcement. Was it was an article on tips on how to open up your 401k account without freaking out. That was the headline from the news article.
Yeah.
Right. So in my mind, it's like, as I'm doing social stuff, I'm having conversations with people because it's out there. I don't see any easier opportunity than right now to help people make great rates of return on their money, becoming a private lender with us, because of everything that's going on out there right now. Like, people are freaking out. They don't know where to put their money. The stock market, their 401ks are questionable, right? Yeah. So with what I'm going to teach you here today, I think just a little taste of it, you'll be glad that you're on the call. So stick with us. I know it's Saturday. Hang in there. But you got me till 11. I'm going to give you everything I got.
Awesome. And it's recorded. So this is for the group.
There you go.
That's awesome. That's another thing. So I think you gave me the slides, like some slides. Let me add these to the stream here.
Yeah, man. Go ahead. Cool. And, we put this together since you asked me to do this. So I'm going to go through this with you guys. And really, it's like, I kind of like break it down in like 7 steps of like establishing credibility. And I'm going to help you become great at talking the talk and having effective communication. But I'm also going to help you put systems in place to keep your lender's money safe and just make you a better investor overall, which is really the goal. And anytime that I talk about this, whether it's in person, on a webinar, if I'm sitting down at a coffee shop with someone, it's really important here to just cover like the disclaimers of like everything that could go wrong. Like, real estate, straight up, you guys, it's a hard business. And if you're going to be borrowing people's money, like, you better know what you're doing, because if someone trusts you, like, that could be their life savings. That could be their retirement, right? And they might not tell you that, but it could be. So we take this real, real serious. And I'm not an attorney, an accountant, a licensed real estate agent. Like, I should barely have a driver's license. I got nothing. Okay. And I know what you're thinking. I know some of you are like, hey, Noah, like, get to the meat and potatoes. Like, tell me what to say. Show me how it's done. And what I'll tell you is that, like, the very first step to establishing credibility with lenders, like, this is the meat and potatoes, right? So number 1, if you're taking notes or whatever, write it down. Like, we need to start surrounding ourselves with business professionals. And what's interesting is I was testing a little bit, because, I got at your meetup, Corey, I was going around and saying, hey, like, who's your attorney, who's your real estate agent, who, and kind of seeing what people would say. And nobody really had any, like, this is my guy, this is my girl, this is my team, this is who I go to for this, right? So if we're going to become great at borrowing money, this is especially important. This is my girl. If you're brand new, really important if you're brand new. And if you're like, hey, no, I've never done a deal, I've done one deal, cool. Like, build a team that's done a lot of deals and just insulate yourself around that team. So, like, when I first got started when I went to pick a real estate attorney, like, the real estate attorney is going to be the one that's drawing up your documents. They're going to be conducting your closings, right? So I went and I looked for, like, the person that was, like, the best of the best, in the newspaper voting or whatever every year, like someone really recognizable, someone's been in business a long time, and I made that person my go-to for writing up my documents and doing my closings, right? Same thing with my contractor, right? So I found like someone who was family oriented. Their family's been in business a couple decades, got years of experience. Real estate agents, my realtor, she's the top 1% in Colombia, right? The list goes on and on. If someone has a question about IRAs or 401ks, well, I'm not a financial advisor. Let me introduce you to someone, Amanda Holbrook. She's awesome, and she can walk you through how to get set up the right way so maybe you can lend on some deals like this, right? So you're surrounding yourself with business professionals that know what the heck they're doing. You're going to be a better investor. A person's investments are going to be safer because you got the right team built around you. Now watch this. If you've got one deal under your belt, no experience, Corey, if you came up to me and you're like, hey, how many deals have you done? And I didn't have this team set up, I'd be like, one, but I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, like I follow Grant Cardone on YouTube. Like nobody gives a crap about that, right? That's like scary to me. I'd be like, whoa, pump the brakes. You don't know what you're doing, right? However, if the same person, if I was brand new, I got asked that question, but I had all of this set up, then I'd just be honest with you. I'd say, hey, look, this is my first deal. I come from a background in this. I was a nurse for 10 years before this, or I was, play off of what your experience is, because I think that's really important. Hey, I was in the military 20 years, just retired. I love systems. I love managing projects. That's like my thing. It's in my DNA. Real estate, it's brand new to me. But my real estate attorney, they've been in business 20 years. My contractor, family owned, decades. My real estate agent, my team, my sales team that helps me sell the properties, they're in the top 1% in Savannah. So I might be brand new, but my team certainly isn't. Right. And then boom, you've got okay, I'm open to hearing more about what this plan looks like. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. Cause that I leaned on a team when I first got started, and it makes so much sense. And I know that even myself, like a lot of us think we have to just rely on our credibility as far as us. And you can lean on, you can say my contractor, like you just said, it's 30 years experience. Yeah, I'm a little newer, but they're going to be walking me through, and we've established such a great relationship.
And I would also encourage people to be proud of the background that you have. And I don't care what it is, and if you're genuinely fascinated with what other people do for a living, and you'll see why this is so important here in a minute, but if you're genuinely curious, and I admire what other people do. Like if someone was like, oh, I've been a nurse for 30 years, it's like, oh my gosh, how many lives have you saved? I've never saved a life. I'm just a real estate investor. I'm just like a paint and carpet, fix up, buying houses. Like you're saving lives. So no matter what what their background is, you can totally leverage the same skill set into real estate. So be proud of that. I think that's important. All right. And then interrupt me anytime if there's any questions. Okay. Number 2, learn and then educate. So the more we learn about this, the better we can explain it, the more we teach it. That's why I love doing these webinars, is because it just keeps me sharp.
Yeah.
I'm going to be on fire because I'm going to be like, I don't talk this much. I've already said more in the last 20 minutes than I usually do in 3 days. Like my wife is like, who is this person? Right. When I do these webinars. So I'm going to go down to the pool. I'm just gonna be like, I'm on fire because I've been teaching it. Right.
Yeah.
Learn and then educate. But here's the lesson here. If you look at the list there's resources for buyers, resources for lenders. What a lot of people don't realize is the same resources that they would use to buy a house cash, right, is the same resources that a person could use to lend money to fund a deal. So sometimes people are like, oh, I'm not a lender, I don't have enough money. You must have to have millions of dollars to become a lender, or a person has to have $1 million. That's not the case with these types of loans, these private mortgages. So anytime that you're talking to someone about money, and that's what we're doing, once you have the invitation, and the door opens, hey, let's talk about money, let's talk about the markets, let's talk about how our money's working for us. Just know that hey, if a person has money in savings, they're earning 1% on their money, maybe. And if they put it with a project, and we can pay them a great rate of return on their money, we might be able to get them 8, 9, 10%, 12% on their money, right? So it's showing people options. 401ks, going back to the article that was on the phone this morning that popped up on my phone, people are how to avoid freaking out when you open your 401k bank statement. That was the title of the article or whatever, right? What if lots of people have 401ks and they don't realize that it's just sitting there? Maybe it's from a past employer or something like that. What if you got with a financial advisor and rolled it over and then put it in a type of account that could then lend, and we can pay you 8, 9, 10%? Would that be something that you're interested in, instead of just letting it sit like a ghost over in the corner, losing its value?
Say that one more time, because I think that's really important what you just said, like that transition, like so if you're getting into a conversation and somebody's like, wow, like my stocks are going down, I'm a little concerned. How are you saying that to somebody?
Yeah, so I just, at the end of the day, like it's important to understand where someone's coming from, like their financial what their financial game plan is. So I always ask people, like, hey, like, what's your plan? Like, do you have one? Like, and it's like, well, I have an IRA, I've got a 401k, I'm kind of freaking out. And the more you know, the more you can help and refer them to the right people. And again, I'm not a financial advisor, but I would say, hey, look, I got this great person over here. She sets people up with a certain type of retirement account, and then they can lend money backed by real estate. And I don't know what you're making right now with your mutual funds, but we pay 8, 10, 12% rate of return, annualized, and it's secured by real estate. And you just kind of, throw it out there, and when we talk about rates and things like that, and like what we charge, like, Noah, what do you charge? What do you do? It just depends on the person.
Yeah.
If someone says, hey, I just inherited a bunch of money and I don't know what to do with it, I'll be like, well, where is it now? It's like, it's in my savings account. I know that person's making 1%. It's like, well, how would you like to make 10?
Yeah.
Tell me more. All right, let's go grab coffee someday, right? And then we can explain a little bit more about the process or whatever. Right?
Here's a question.
Yeah.
I think it's, does your credit have something to do with lending money?
No. So with private money, I've never had a private money lender ask for my credit score. But here's what's cool. If you got a great score, show it to them.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, if someone's like, hey, what's your credit? Oh, it's 750. Any other questions? No. Okay. It's okay. But it's crazy to me. And again, this is where we're establishing credibility. So when you take all of these steps I'm going to go through with you, people don't even care about the credit, right? Because they know they trust that the process and the system and that you're going to get it done, right?
Right.
All right, cool. And again, this is just another cog in the wheel, right? I've used hard money a lot, especially early on. And then when I didn't have a lot of credibility yet or experience yet, when it came to larger amounts of money, I was using hard money because maybe I didn't have a private money lender yet that had 300 grand to lend, So, and then I'm not going to use private money for my long-term buy and holds, right? I have a couple actually, but most of the time I'm going to refinance with a more traditional type of lender for something like that, right? So this is just one resource. So here we go. Answer your question. Some of the reasons why we love them: they can act fast. This is as long as the proper paperwork is written, the title work has been done, we can close right away. And so that's important. It keeps you competitive with those cash offers. Rates are negotiable, and I'll give you some examples here. And I have one lender where rates go up and down. I might go to her and say, hey, look, this is a huge deal for us. We're going to make a ton of money. So on this transaction, we can pay you 12%. We appreciate doing business with you. And they're like, fantastic. The next deal, it might be, hey, look, this deal's a little slimmer. It's a smaller price point. Numbers are great, but we can only give you 8. Totally cool. Let's go. Right? Because so you can't walk into Wells Fargo and say, hey, look, so here's the deal. I'm going to pay you 10. I'm going to pay you 7. Like, it doesn't work like that. Right, Corey? Yeah. Loans don't show up on the credit report. It's relationship driven. And this is really, really, really important, is there's an opportunity here to help people, guys. All right, there's an opportunity here to help people, and I'll show you what I mean. Positioning is everything with private money. And when I went to your meeting, Corey, there was a couple of people there that were like, "Man, I got something popping next week. I need the money right now. Like, I need money. I need money." Right? Even you were at a deal that you needed funding.
Yeah, I was like looking for some gap funding.
I liked what you did, because you know what? You didn't ask me for the money. Did you?
No, I didn't.
You didn't. And it wasn't a whole lot of money. If you had asked me, I probably would have done it, because it wasn't a whole. But what's cool is you were cool as the other side of the pillow, and it was almost like this, like we were kind of just like positioning, like, oh, is he gonna ask? Should I? You know, like I was waiting to see, but you ended up getting the money, didn't you?
Yeah.
Because you were cool. Because what's cool is you look at this as an opportunity, don't you?
It's an opportunity. Yeah, it's who do I want to work with on the lending side, like.
Yeah, and you actually got someone on your team was excited to put their money to work. So you were like, hey, because I asked you, hey, whatever happened with that? Because I was like, I don't want to leave you hanging. Like, I could help out. And you were like, oh no, it's all good, Noah. Like, I don't. No, we're good. We're good, right? It's like, oh, okay, you know. And you kept it within your team, which is awesome. So someone had money in a savings and they wanted to make a great rate of return. So here's the thing: private money lenders, they need us just as much as we need them. Right. And what do I mean by that? Like, there is nowhere that you can't walk into a bank. Your financial advisor can't do this. You can't walk into a bank and say, hey, I'd like to earn a 12% rate of return on this money. And I'd also like it secured by an asset that's worth way more than the amount of money that I'm investing, that I'm lending. Can you do that for me? They're going to be like, what? Get out of here. Take a hike. That's what we do. That's not what you do. Right. So this is really important. Like, you're never going to get the money begging or seeming desperate.
Yeah.
You have to come to the realization that this is an opportunity for someone to make a great rate of return by loaning you money and having it secured by a piece of real estate, which is super cool. That's important. That's important.
Yeah, you're not asking for you're not asking for money. And I think that's a big shift for me, you know, growing up, where you really got to kind of figure things out, and, you know, you try not to borrow money, and you don't want to get in debt and all this. It's a whole different like thought process where it's like, no, you're giving an opportunity, like you said, and that is the mindset. And, you know, we're giving credit cards this opportunity. We're giving other, you know, loans, banks and things, these opportunities for us to be the, you know, the person that's like, you know, giving that money back, when we could keep it within our family. We could keep it within our, you know, but that's the tricky part too. It's like, do you know what you're doing? Right. And I'm pretty sure you're going to get into that, but
Yep. And so, and we might have some questions on this next slide. I usually get a couple when I cover stuff like this, but like, these are some common terms when we look at private money lending. And again, there's no, this is like what I do. And then it's kind of up to you what you want to do. But what we do is we set things up, and our interest rates are simple interest and they're annualized. And I get this question a lot. What does that mean, Noah? Well, if I'm going to teach this using the 12% interest rate. If I'm giving someone a 12% interest on their money, it's simple interest annualized. That means in order for that person to make the entire 12% return, then that money is going to be being used for the entire year, right? So like if the project only takes 6 months, then they'll make half of that. They'll make a 6% return, but they did it in 6 months. So just something to be aware of. Now, now this is important, especially if you're new. I remember the first time we had a project that was like wham bam, like paint, carpet, super quick turnaround. I was working with a new lender, and they were really excited. They were selling mutual funds from their account, and they were going to private money lend. And I was like, hey, I'm really excited. This is 3 months. It is our target. And they were like, whoa, like, I don't want it to take 3 months. Like, I just pulled all this money out. I'm paying, I'm probably going to pay some taxes on it. They wanted their money to go for the entire term. So in our minds, sometimes when we're newer, we're like, oh, we got to get this back to them right away. just know this, like people are used to having their money work for long periods of time without like having access to it. Like the 401k is a perfect example. You work like 45 years before you're able to pull money out or whatever it is, right? 59 and a half or whatever they made it now. So like just know that. And if there's an opportunity where it's like quick turnarounds, then we're just going to throw in a couple points if that's what would help the person do the deal. So like real quick, just 1 point is a percentage of the loan. 2 points is 2% of the loan. 2% of the loan. So it's a fee. It's an origination fee essentially, right? To do the deal. Now, when we set up our loans, I don't care if it's going to be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. We always do a 12-month balloon, meaning at the end of 12 months, that's when the note is going to be due. And we do this for a couple reasons. Like number one, like people like to just set it and forget it, and that year number is really solid. And they know their money's going to be going to work for that long. But then also, like if we get to month 9, 8, whatever, and it was a 9-month term, like let's say it's a big project, taking a little while, project's finished, then it takes it's on the market, let's say 30 days, and it's another 45 days to close. Like that 60-day window there, sometimes we don't think about that. And so we don't want anything expiring or ending. So we just set it for 12 months, and it takes the stress off of us, takes the stress off of our lender, and it just makes things easy. That's how we do it. And then we can pay people different ways, which is cool. And when you're talking to people and you're networking with them, find out like a little bit about like what they want, like what their goals are. So for instance, Corey, we have some lenders that are real, they're younger, and it's a big deal for them to be investing this type of cash. So like for them, like they like the monthly payment because they use it as like living expenses or whatever, right? And the same goes for people who are retired. So if someone's like, hey, I'd like to use this as a way to supplement my retirement, and we can ask them, hey, would you like a monthly payment? Yeah, that would be fantastic. Okay, cool. So we might set it up like that. A lot of people, especially if it's coming from their retirement accounts, they don't want to mess with it on a monthly basis. So they're like, hey, just pay me at the end. That's fine. And if I was lending, this is really important. If I was the one lending, I would want monthly payments. And here's why. If the end of the term is a year, and let's say I got into some financial trouble, or I got hurt or something like that, or the project, there was an issue with the project, and let's say that this event happened month 2. I'm in financial distress 2 months in, and the lender knows it, but there's nothing the lender can do to try to save their money or recoup or do, because we haven't broken any terms of the loan yet. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there would be like this 10-month window where they're like, oh my God, like I can't foreclose or do anything because he hasn't done anything wrong. But if I were to miss a monthly payment, then that lender could go down the road of like foreclosure process or whatever to secure their funds. So just something to think about there.
Yeah.
This is really important too. Follow the rules. Follow the rules.
Wait, there's rules.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I see these on Facebook. I see people on Facebook all the time using this G word, the guaranteed, and our all of our terms are in writing. But anytime you start advertising guaranteed rate of return, using that word, it's just not good for the people who are watching, to making sure things are done the right way. So I would stay away from the word guarantee. And there's also rules for pooling funds and making sure that you're not, doing things the wrong way. Like if you've got a bunch of people and they're all putting money in together, and you say, hey, I got it, I'm gonna manage the product. Like that sounds a lot more like a syndication type of transaction. And so you're gonna hire different lawyers to draw up that paperwork and get all that set up. So instead of pooling funds, what we're gonna do, it's really important. We give each of our lenders what's called a debt position, right? So you might get asked this sometimes. And again, how do you build credibility? You know the rules, you know what you're doing. So what we do is let's say we have 2 people, we need 2 people to fund the deal, because let's say we have one person that has 200,000 and we've got one person that's got 50,000. And let's say the purchase price is 200 and the rehab's 50 or whatever, right? So I'm gonna drop 2 sets of paperwork. The first position I'm gonna give to the person that's doing the 200,000. The second position I'm gonna give to the person that's lending 50,000, and they're each gonna have their own set of documents, right? And so instead of pooling funds and just having it all together, everyone's gonna be on their own, have their own position. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And we might get some questions on that. If you have any, just ask Corey. So here's those documents. And anytime that I see someone like who maybe lent money and they're like, I haven't been paid back, like this person screwed me or whatever, like usually they're missing one, if not all of these. Okay. And so like, you know, we call these like these would be critical. These would be like every single time. It doesn't matter first position, second position, like everyone needs to get this stuff. So the first one was a promissory note. And again, your attorney is going to draw this up, or the lender's attorney is going to draw this up. The mortgage or deed of trust, depending on what state you're in. We're going to list our lender as the lost payee on the insurance. And then we also do personal guarantees on all of our loans. And, you know, I just don't see why we wouldn't. Like, I'm not going to take someone's retirement or money if I'm not willing to put a personal guarantee. That's just how we operate. Some people teach it different, but that's what we do every single time. Now, sometimes when you're getting this stuff drawn up, I like to make this as simple as possible for our lenders. So I'll say, Mr. and Mrs. Lender, this is the attorney that we use to conduct our closings. We also use him quite often to draw up the documents on your behalf. If you would like him or her to do that for you as well, they'd be more than happy to. They know our system, or you can use your own. That's up to you. Because sometimes you'll have lenders that are like, hey, I want to use my own attorney. That's cool. That's perfectly fine. You know, it's most likely going to say all the same stuff, but whatever it's going to make them comfortable, right? So we use this every single time, and this is the security. The mortgage is the security instrument that keeps a person's money attached to the real estate. So if someone were to loan and they only have a promissory note, you know, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. You know, and I would also take the effort into calling. Like if I was the lender, I'd be like, all right, cool. I'm going to call the attorney. I'm going to talk to someone at their office. I'm going to call, you know, like make sure and no money. This is really, really important. Money funds are never wired to the investor. They're always wired to the closing attorney or title company, who's ever's conducting your closings. Okay, that's really, really, really important. All the loans should be showing up on your closing docs in your HUD statements. All right, number 6. Know your business model. Okay, so we talked about the documents and all this stuff. And again, came to the networking event. I'm like, hey, so what's your plan? What's your business model? What do you do? Like, what's your goal? And it was like, you know, a lot of people are like, well, my goal is to get my next deal.
There's like 80 ways to make money in real estate.
Yeah, it's like, okay, but like, what's your plan, man? So like, I always think, like, Corey, you like Shark Tank?
Yeah, I love Shark Tank.
Who's your favorite shark?
Damon John. Not because of color of skin. I like how he thinks as a business.
Okay. All right.
person.
No, yeah.
And I'm a FUBU guy.
Did you rock FUBU? You don't still
Yeah.
rock FUBU though, do you?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think. I think he only has like hair products and stuff.
Yeah. I love him too. I love all those guys and girls. What they all have in common is they all want to know the numbers, right?
Oh man. Yeah.
So like if Mr. Wonderful or Damon Johns, if he's like, hey, what's your business plan? What do your numbers look like?
They all pull out some kind of. They start crunching.
You can immediately tell.
Right.
You can immediately tell if someone is going to get the funds or not based off of how they answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
If they are stumbling and slipping or not getting to the point, none of them do it. They're like, I'm out. You seem to not know what your business plan is or what your model is. Right. So for us as real estate investors, like if we're flipping houses, fixing them up, it might look something like this. Right. And so here's what I would recommend. Pick a neighborhood. Don't even go zip code yet. Pick a neighborhood, pick a street, that you're going to focus on, and know that street or that neighborhood like the back of your hand, right? When we walked through your neighborhood, was it Thomas Square? Was that what it was called?
Yeah.
Or
Starland.
Starland. It was like you knew, oh, that house is a rental house. That house is an Airbnb house. I have my eye on this one because they're behind on payments. This one there is a investor, but you knew every single thing that was happening on that street, didn't you?
Yeah. Gotta know your neighborhood.
And so you know what they sell for, all this stuff. So pick a neighborhood and just know those numbers, what they're selling for, fixed up, what they're selling for, not fixed up, what they're selling for, completely dilapidated, right? Just know all these, know what the cost is to do those renovations, right? And then how I would explain it is I'd say, hey, look, and this is these numbers are probably a little higher here in Columbia now than but this example is really easy. So like well, here's what we do. We buy houses for 100. I know that in order to sell it for 225, I'm going to put 50 into it, right? Roundabout, because I've done it a bunch. I know this. I know that certain neighborhood, we're going to have to replace the electrical. There's going to be hardwood floors under the carpets. The bathroom, we're just going to do this or spray this. We know it, right? Yeah. So we're buying for 100. We're going to put 50 in it. The total loan is going to be a 150, and that $150,000 loan is then secured by a house that's now worth $225,000. Okay, so if I were to like give an assignment to like this group, I'd say, hey, look, go master this, like figure this out, because this is really important. Because how are you going to be able to explain to someone what you do if you can't give them an idea, right? And we're also kind of framing their mind for loan options, right? So, and we'll get to that in a minute. But here's what we do. Mr. and Mrs. Lender, see what's cool is we buy houses for 100, we put 50 into them, and then a person's $150,000 loan is secured by a house that's worth 225. And then it's like, whoa, that seems pretty cool, right? So knock this out, because this is going to set up our opportunity to have a really good elevator pitch, right? Any questions on that at all?
I have a question. It goes back. It's not about this, but it's about, you said a 12, month loan, and you're doing 12 and 2 points, or 8 to 12, percent. Are you doing any kind of rental loans with people that are like with their, IRAs, like more longer term kind of stuff, but maybe at a lower interest, like 5%?
Is that something that you would want to do, Corey?
Yeah.
Then
I like to borrow that way.
We can do that. Sure. Yeah. No, either way. So what's cool is like, again, it's and as things start to shift here, if you want to be really great at real estate for a long time, here's what I found. Always buy at a discount and always have multiple exit strategies. Any house that we're looking at right now, I'm asking, okay, the next day, can we turn around and sell it for 10 grand more if we wanted to? Wholesale, right? Is there enough equity in the deal where I'm buying it right now that if we flip it 6 months from now, do we feel really confident that we're going to come out green? Yes. Are we running the numbers, and can we rent this property with a long-term tenant and still cash flow? Yes. Can we Airbnb it? Yes. Can we rent it in 3-month stints to travel nurses? Yep. Okay, cool. Let's do it. Right. And I think right now, because so many people are looking for ways to keep their money safe, it's not even about making money right now for a lot of people. It's about keeping it safe. Then I think there'd be a lot of people right now. And to answer your question, yes, we do have several, and we're paying, I think, 8% for some of our rental properties with private money.
Yeah.
One of them is like 7, I think, but the people are very ecstatic about that because that's way better than what they would have been experiencing right now had it been tied up where it was before.
Yeah.
So I think you should put it out there and don't ever just jump. And I'm guilty of this big time. Christy's always busting my chops. She's like, hey, you're promising the world right out of the gate. They probably would have taken 6. Like Christy had she just had a loan. It was a rental property they had for 15 years. I think it was like 10 or 15 years, and it was with a private lender. And it was like, I don't know, 6 or 7%, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's out there. You just gotta, like, what's your approach, right? So I guess what's cool is you're talking about the business model, and we should create another slide, shouldn't we, where we say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Lender, this is what we do. While we're doing that, it'd be the same pitch.
Programs we have,
yeah, we buy it for this, we put this, it's secured by this, and we're creating monthly cash flow to ensure that your monthly payments made, and blah blah blah, right? So it's just it's not about us, it's about them.
It's interesting too that you say that. So you mentioned something about Shark Tank and how, if you can't even get the words out or things in that nature. And I've listened to multiple interviews of the Shark Tank, people on different platforms, and they all say the same thing. Number one, it's not staged. Number two, they don't know any of the product or anything that's coming up. And number three is most of the time they, will loan the money based on the individual, and they're betting on that person. I've even heard Damon John say, or maybe it wasn't Damon John, it was somebody said, even if they failed, I think it was Barbara. She said, even if they failed, like, I'm okay with that because I knew that they're a hustler and we could probably start another business together. And I was like, dang. So, like, a lot of these lenders, you might have a good deal, but a lot of times they trust you and they believe in the operator.
100%. And and if you're lending, you need to take a good hard look at the operator as well, and in the team, right? Goes back to credibility, step number 1. Who's the team? Because you might be the investor, right? The big shot, we buy houses person or whatever that's on the business card, but like you're probably not the one that is managing the crew or is the contractor on the job site, right? So like if you're thinking about lending, you better know who's doing the work. And if you're thinking about borrowing, you better know who's doing the work. And because if that lender wants to talk to him, put him on the phone.
Yeah.
Like let that, and you're 100% right. It's like, who is, I had one person, one of my lenders, someone who I have tremendous amount of respect for, that as well. It was our first, I'm from Florida originally. I live in South Carolina. I was doing a deal back in my hometown, and we've done deals in the past, but he was like extremely cautious because he's like, you're doing a deal that's 1,000 miles away. Who's going to be managing this project, right? So I had to go and do a lot of due diligence to find the right person, make sure that my lender was comfortable with this person and things like that. And we ended up doing the deal. But my name's on the business card, but who's running the day to day is important to figure out.
Big time.
That's awesome, man. All right. And then I would practice the elevator pitch. And really what it is just combining all of what we've learned so far. And to really open the door, I'll share with you like something that always works, no matter where we are, what we're doing. What's cool about communication and getting really good at communicating is you can begin to predict how people respond to things that you ask or things that you do or things that you say. And of course, like the polite thing, we're in the South, Corey, right? So if I ask someone, hey, what do you do for a living? They're going to tell me. And because I'm genuinely curious and fascinated by what other people do for a living, because I think house flipping is boring, I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, like you are a firefighter, you were in the military, you're, you worked at insurance forever. Like, wow, how did you make a living doing that? Like, what was your role? Blah, blah, blah. And I find out all about them. And then I'm quiet. I just be, oh, that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that. And so if I've asked them that question, what's the polite thing that they're going to do?
So what do you do? You've asked enough about me.
Yeah. What are we role playing now? I love it. And one of the things, like, as real estate investors, like I see this all the time, like, oh, I'm a realtor or I'm a wholesaler. And it's like, oh, you're a realtor. So is everybody else. That's so boring. Like, you
Or
know,
it's like I'm in real estate. Like
yeah,
I
I'm in real
default to that
estate. It's like,
sometimes if
oh,
I'm not
okay,
like
now I
talking.
gotta, you know what I'm saying? So like,
Yeah.
find something that piques people's interest. And one of the things that I found that really gets them going is I just say, hey, have you ever seen the house flipping shows? You know, and if you don't want to say, hey, have you ever driven by a house that was vacant for a really long time, and then all of a sudden there's a big dumpster in front of it, and there's like people working in there? Yeah, I
Oh
do
yeah,
that.
you're
Right? Have you ever seen the house flipping shows? Yeah, I do that. Oh my! And 9 times out of 10, practice it today at the family barbecues or wherever you're going after this. Right? Oh my God, I've always wanted to do that. I'm so curious about that. Oh, my grandpa used to have rental property. It's like it's always positive.
It's on
And so
TV. They have
it's on
shows about this stuff.
it's everyone's intrigued by it, right? If you haven't seen a house flipping show, you know, you've been under a rock the last 20 years.
Yeah.
So there's some commonality there. And then what they're going to do is they're going to tell you like what they're going to imply like and express to you what interests them about that show or about house flipping or real estate investing, right? And they're going to say, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to do that. Or, man, I've always thought it'd be smart to have a rental property. Or, do you do the work yourself? Or they're going to always ask these types of questions. And then I kind of will spin it back on them and say, hey, look, like, it sounds like you really like real estate. You know, why haven't you gotten into real estate? Why? I always wanted to do that. Oh, what's been stopping you? And it's always the same thing, right? It's a time. I've got a job. I don't know how. I need money to do that. And no matter what their response is, what's cool is we can then kind of get them on board and piggyback and experience what it's like to be a part of that through the possibility of lending on our deals.
Yeah. This
So
is
it's like, hey,
powerful.
I've always wanted to do that. Which part? Oh, I thought it'd be cool to like fix and flip, but why haven't you? I have no idea what I'm doing. Oh, well, I've got a contractor who's been in business 20 years. I got a real estate attorney. Hey, you know how we fund our deals lots of times is through private individuals like you. And I pay them a great rate of return secured by real estate. Would you like to learn more about that? And you can learn about what we do. I'll keep you in the loop and you can come see some of our projects, whatever. Man, that sounds awesome. Okay, cool. Let's go set up a coffee appointment or whatever, right? Go hang out, grab a cup of coffee. So that this is like the tip to like get them open.
Yeah.
And then just making a friend, building a relationship, kind of showing them what you do a little bit. And then having an opportunity to sit down and say, hey, like, what are your goals? Like, you know, I got this email today. It said how to open your 401k without freaking out. Did you get that? Did you see that article? Yeah. Do you have a 401k? Yeah, I do. Holy cow. Right?
Man, the timing of this is key because the more that you say all this, like, you know, obviously when you have your own business plan and you're working your own plan, you're paying attention to you know the rest of the world. But we are in a recession right now, and people's 401ks are getting slammed. Like a lot of like stuff's like 20 or 30 years worth of gains, you know, are getting hit pretty hard. So how do you like have these conversations with people? I guess if you're talking about real estate, it kind of goes into that. Because I think about like when I'm talking to somebody, you know, and I let them know some of the programs that we have, one of the questions they'll say is like, okay, well, what's your like investment amounts? Like, where do you start? Like, do you start with the whole thing, like $100,000, or you know, I know you said you're putting pieces together, but would you tell somebody like, hey,
That's great. That's a great question. I'm so glad you brought this up. So what we do, and going back to this, so if someone says to me, let's say they're interested, we're sitting down having coffee or talking on the phone or whatever, that question comes up. The question is usually, what's your minimum, right?
yeah,
What's your minimum? And what I'll do is I'll tell people we have 3 options of what people usually do.
you don't just say what you got?
No, I don't. I
What's
think
your
that's
minimum? What you
I think
got? How
that's
much
an
you got?
amateur question. But a lot of people do that, right?
Yeah.
Like, well, you know, like how much you got, right? It's just like, no, because someone with money is not going to want to have that conversation or disclose information like that.
Yeah.
right away. So you can do it a little more gracefully. Like I would say, hey, look, we got 3 options. Option number 1, a lot of people, what they want to do is they want to put as much of their money to work as possible, because we do pay a great rate of return on our loans. And so they'll lend the entire amount of purchase price and repair. So in the example that we just talked about, they do the whole 150, right? And then we have some people who can't do the whole 150, or maybe they don't want to start with the whole 150, but they feel good about doing the 100, so that they'll cover like the purchase price amount. And we'll give them a first position lien. They feel really good about it because they've got some equity built in there, and it's a good place to start. And then we have our third option is, lots of times this is simply because this is like what they have to work with. But we'll give them a second position lien, and the person would invest right around the 50,000. So basically their repair amount. So it's a second position lien. We might be able to pay that person a little more interest because of a little bit more risk for them. But those are our basically our 3 options: 150, 50, or 150, 150. And then I'd ask them, like, where do you feel comfortable? And just see what they say. Where do you want to start? And what's cool, I learned this from our friend of ours, John Steingraber, because you don't have to stop there. What's cool is if someone's like, all right, I'll do the 150. And then you can say, okay, cool. And how many deals at a time are you comfortable with? And you might be surprised. They might say 2. And now okay, I got 300 grand to work with here. Or they might say, I'll I want to do the 100. I feel like it's a safe bet. First position, lots of equity there. The loan to value is pretty low, which is good, right? Smart.
Yeah.
And then you ask them, cool, how many are you comfortable with doing it at the same time? And they might say 2. Right. And so that's kind of how we approach it.
No, that's huge. I got some good stuff from this, man. What I really liked was be proud of the background that you have, especially like no matter what, like if you've done 30 deals or if you've done no deals, you've done 1,000 deals. Like in real estate, sometimes I think people come in and they're so caught up on, I'm not a real estate investor.
Yeah.
So just being proud of the background that you have, even if you like hustled all your life, it's like that can show a lot in this business. So,
hey, I'm a single mom. I've been my kids just turned 18. They're finally out of the house. I've been hustling and grinding. I finally want to do something for myself. Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I got you. Right. Because that's just be honest with people.
Yeah. Are you doing any JVs, like joint ventures, where maybe somebody brings the deal? You got the relationships with the private money and the contractors and stuff, and in Colombia?
We have done that in the past. Yep, we've done that in the past. I just like cut and dry.
Do it.
Hey, you got a deal. It's a good deal. Let me buy it from you. Because at the end of the day, it's probably gonna be the same amount of money for you, right?
Yeah.
Like wholesale it to me, make a quick 15 or 10, and then do it again or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not a big JV person personally.
So I know you got to go because you got to get on the boat with the fam. They're waiting for you. Let's talk about re-up real quick. What is this event that you have going on? Obviously, I'm wearing a shirt because I'm going to be there, and I'm excited for it. I was at the last one, but I figured we'd do a shameless plug on your event. I appreciate it. First of all, thank you for coming on to this group and sharing, this knowledge, man. This is information that people don't talk about right now. And a lot of people, you go to the meetups, you go to these different events, you got people that are explaining, let me pull this off. Oh, there you go. You did it. So you got people that are explaining that they can, get you money and things like that, which is great, but sometimes it's the sleepers. It's the ones that are not at those networking events. And that's what I got from this too, is that you got to go to different events. Like, I got some golf clubs and I'm not using them enough is what I'm getting from this conversation here. I need to get on the golf course, go network, go talk to people, let people know what I do, and don't be afraid I'm not like a secret investor, right?
You need to re-up your network, man.
Re-up my network.
Hey, look, here's the thing with the re-up, right? This is a 2-day event. I've been blessed to have the opportunity to work with some really cool people over the years. I worked with Rich Dad Education. I worked with Fortune Builders. I worked with, I'm a product of like the late night infomercial. I really am. Like, I went out there and I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to do it. But I ended up working for these guys, sit in the back of the room and say, hey, you know what? That's pretty smart. At a young age, right out of college, I'm like, I'm going to do that. And I did. And along the way, we met some really cool, awesome people that teach really cool stuff. And it's like random stuff, like from probate investing to mobile home investing, commercial real estate, apartment buildings, all this cool stuff. So I've invited my friends. They're coming in to Columbia, South Carolina, July 23rd and 24th. And we call it the re-up because sometimes you just need to re-up on stuff, man, on life. Like after COVID or during COVID, a buddy of mine came over and he's like, hey, do you want to do an event and at the local brewery? I was like, dude, I haven't been on the house in 3 years. I'm tired of talking to just toddlers. Like, I need to up my social life. I need to like learn something. Like you and me were cut from the same cloth where we're like, we like to feed our mind positive stuff and like continue to learn and grow. And I was like, I need to re-up on life, man. So like we ended up I started my own. It's called the Re-Up, right? And whether it's your network, just getting out of the house, having fun around like-minded people, learning new strategies. Corey, you're going to be teaching how you virtual wholesale and do over the phone and computer. Like we got some really cool topics. So check it out. I'm not going
to even have tickets left. I mean,
I'm not going to plug it too hard because there's really just a couple left. Like I had family members that were coming and now I'm like, hey, you can't come anymore because I got people that want to pay and I think they'll take it a little more serious. So I'm starting to kind of like scrub the list a little bit to make room for people, but I got some general admission seats. You can go to reupmeetup.com, pick up a couple. If however many you can get, I'd get them and bring your team, bring a partner or whatever. It's next to nothing. It's a couple $100. I buy you lunch both days and we're going to have an amazing time. So it's going to be awesome.
And you said it's reupmeetup.com?
Yeah. Head on over to reupmeetup.com. And you can see we got 15 different high-level speakers, all different backgrounds, man. It's just a good time. It's like high-level, down-to-earth learning. And I had tons of people that wanted to come speak at this event. And I just turned them down because I was like, I don't know about the vibe right now. Like we keep it super chill, like, and it's all about helping one another and clapping for one another. And it doesn't matter if you're that person that's like, hey, I'm trying to get my first deal, or that person that's like, hey, I'm trying to grow and do my 100th. Like we're all rooting for each other in that room. We keep it small. It's less than 100 people. And it's going to be a good time.
The cool thing about this event that I love is that it's not something that, obviously like we'd want to do it every weekend and all that kind of stuff, but it's literally like, this is your second one. The first one was very organic and we haven't even talked about if there's going to be a third. So yeah, it's just a super like chill event. I appreciate you putting this event on, because it came from your brain and it started with meetups, then turned into 2-day. I've been trying to push you to do something here in Savannah. So hopefully we can collab and do some stuff down here. But thank you, man. I appreciate your time. I'm going to just play you can stay if you want. I know you got to run. I'm just going to play a quick testimonial, like review of the re-up just because it was great. And
Hit it up. I'm going to be right back.
It's probably one of the best events for the price point, for the quality of information and the environment.
I think the event was awesome, very informative. A lot of things I did not know, especially about communications, investing in Airbnb and mobile homes.
I learned a lot about the event. My main topic that I wanted to learn about was Airbnb, and I learned a whole lot from the panel. Everybody on the panel was amazing. And even when it came to private lending, everybody on that panel was amazing as well.
A couple of days with really high level information. And I would come back next weekend if they were having another one.
5 or 6 events all in one. It's more like a turnkey event. Everything is there, whatever you want about mobile homes, funding, how to build rapport.
What I liked the most about the event was that despite it was very high level, there was a lot of like really great concepts, but it was also really relaxed. Like there's people in hoodies, there's people in kind of more formal environment. We had our son with us throughout the entire event, and it was never like this very suffocating environment. It was just very comfortable the entire time, and that was super important to me.
This is my first event being out since 2020 COVID, and networking and learning about people's actual experiences and just being around like-minded people.
I would recommend it to anyone. I've recommended this event to my family and friends, anyone interested in real estate.
Yeah, if you're involved in any real estate investing at any capacity, you want to kind of take investing to the next level. You want to learn.
Where'd you pull her from?
What's up?
You like pulled her from the video? Like you just
I didn't know you were gonna play that video, and she was coming over because this is tell everybody, Brianna.
Look staged, man.
Your Instagram handle. Like, so this is my friend, and she's always on Instagram doing Monday motivations.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, like, let's do a Monday motivation together because I love your style and your flow and everything. And then I didn't realize that she was in that video, and she's at my door. It's meant to be.
Ta-da!
Awesome. It's nice seeing you. I will see you in a couple weeks.
Too. Nice seeing you.
This is the Savannah real estate investor.
Okay.
group.
Awesome. Well, that's good. I'll let you do your thing, man. I'll let you do your thing.
We're signing off, right, Corey?
Yes. We're ending this. Thank you everybody for watching. If you're watching live, virtually, recorded, all that good stuff. If you have any questions, you can reach out to Noah. He's in the group. Hopefully, he'll swing by a couple events here and there, but definitely get in touch with him. Reach out to him if you have any questions. Are you taking any if anybody wanted to talk to you about loaning money in Colombia and putting their money to work out there, do you have that capacity, or are you kind of like
We
not
can
really
talk about it, but I got a waiting list.
Okay. And with me here in Savannah, I'm in the same position. If there's somebody that wants to talk about either lending, or if you want to talk more about how this whole private money works so you can get a deal, reach out to me. I'm doing the business, and so is Noah. So have a great 4th of July weekend, everybody. And enjoy your freedom.
All right. Re-up.